Next month marks 1 year since Obamacare became the law of the land, and you could say this fight started in Montana. Senator Max Baucus of Montana helped write it. Freshman Senator John Tester cast the deciding vote to make it law, and now the powerful chairman of the House Appropriations Health Subcommittee, Congressman Denny Rehberg from Montana, is making good on a campaign promise to kill it. Congressman Rehberg is here with us tonight. Great to see you, sir.
Thank you very much.
So how does it feel? You know, you campaigned on this, getting rid of health care, and now here you are introducing an amendment that would defund the bill, or the legislation as it is now. Do you have a chance? The Senate is against you. The president is certainly against you.
We have to do everything we possibly can. This is a mistake. And as it goes through the process of the court system, you've had a couple of judges rule it unconstitutional. If the president intends to go forward as he is, he could be making a very costly mistake. It's disruptive and it's expensive, and it does not, in fact, reform health care. So it's kind of a scam if you think about it, because the price of health care continues to go up. They left so many things off the table. And so what we're trying to do is remove the money for the implementation. We'll do everything we possibly can. If not, we'll move forward into the Senate races, and we'll move forward into the presidential races. But this isn't political right now. What we're trying to do is to fund.
How is this a scam? I don't understand how this is a scam. This is legislation to reform health care. How is it untrue, or how is it not honest with the American people?
Well, you can call it anything you want, you know, whether it's reform or not. What is the definition of reform? It didn't solve the issue of the health care costs. All it did was add more people to the system. And health insurance is going up. People are shocked right now when they're getting their bills, and they're saying, wait, we thought you fixed it. No, all they did was add more people to the system.
Well,
they didn't control the cost of health care.
We've seen premiums rise and pretty dramatically, particularly in California. We're seeing more money being asked for by the IRS, by HHS. Health and Human Services wants to quadruple its budget to implement health care. But I want to share with folks some of the comments you've made about your commitment to getting rid of Obamacare. You'll say, we'll defund Obamacare one piece at a time. We'll fight in the state legislatures. We fight Obamacare in the courts. You're going to take it to any playing field you have to. You're committed to this.
We are committed to this. The state legislature, at least in Montana and around the country, made a statement just yesterday. Many of the states added their names to the lawsuit. And ultimately what we've got to do is Congress implemented it. Congress needs to undo it. We're doing everything we possibly can to put together a replacement. There are ideas in the health care reform that we agree with, but there are other things we would like to do. What happened with medical malpractice? You talk to any doctor, any hospital administrator, and they will tell you defensive medicine is driving the cost, and yet it was left out entirely. There's no reason for it to have been left out.
All right. Interestingly, the way you've chosen to do this, because you do run this very important subcommittee on appropriations for health care. My understanding is that you have your finger on the switch to something like $600 billion. You want to get rid of discretionary spending for Obamacare. Here's the language from your amendment. You say, none of the funds made available by this act may be used for any employee, officer, contractor, or grantee of any department or agency. How much spending do you think you can get rid of if this amendment were to become law? Just
this year alone, up until September 30th, so we're well into this fiscal year, it will save $41 million. That means that's how much they were going to spend. If you look at the president's new budget that he just presented on Monday, he's adding hundreds of millions of dollars just in public relations alone within the secretary's office to sell it as a good idea. So we're going to get as much as we possibly can, but they were smart in the way they crafted it, because they set up a lot of mandatory spending that we can't touch in this bill. We're going to get as much as we can in this bill.
Congressman, a lot of that spending, of course, is in the back-end years. It's later on. It's 2014. Will what you've suggested here be as effective then?
Well, that's why we need to address it now. We need to slow it down now. It's pulling out one of the pieces of the puzzle so they can't spend the money in the out years. But we think that it'll make its way through the court system before it's implemented in 2013 or 14. But we hope that we can bring some sense to the Senate. Yes, we passed the repeal already. It was stopped in the Senate. Now we're going to pass the defunding. If it's stopped in the Senate, we'll look for every other avenue that we can, while at the same time supporting the court case.
So the president has said if he's presented with a bill that undermines, and I'm quoting here, critical priorities or national security through funding levels or restrictions, the president will veto the bill. Does that mean that he's going to veto this very important bill to fund the government?
Sounds like it, but with all due respect to the president, I don't think he gets it. There was a clear message in November. We're bleeding cash. We're building up liabilities. We cannot withstand the debt. He's going to ask for a debt ceiling increase. He's got to quit the spending. We can't keep doing it. If you look at the failed stimulus, that was $1 trillion with interest that did not work. And a lot of it went to social spending. It didn't do anything to build the economy. And now they're coming back on top of it, asking for more money. When are they going to catch on? The American people know, they understand, we can't afford this health care.
You don't have the votes in the Senate. Is there any way you can convince any Democrats to cross the aisle?
Well, I would like to think so. Certainly some of them are at least watching what we're doing and paying attention. I think they'll ignore us at their own folly, because the American people, the majority of them, don't want this. They want real, meaningful health care reform, and this isn't it.
It's going to be a heck of a fight, a heck of a battle. Thanks for coming on and telling us what you plan to do. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.